Okay, welcome to Into the Channel, podcast primarily about women's football. I am your host, Dino Decespedes, and as always, I am joined by my co-host, Mr. Grant Engle. What is up, man?
I'm feeling fantastic, buddy. It's awards season. We've completed the regular season of the National Women's Soccer League. Now it's time to hand out some individual hardware as we await to see who's going to lift the NWSL Championship here in a few weeks.
Let's go. I'm pumped. That's right, man. In this episode, we'll be handing out our version of the MVP, the D-Poi, the G-Koi, the M-Foy,
nice,
the Roy, and the Coach Koi, or M-Koi, Manager Koi. We'll figure out the terminology, but it's only year 3. We're sorting it out.
The Moy?
The Moy? I guess it's
Manager of the Year?
Yeah. We'll also hit our best 11. Mr. Grant Engle, apologies for the clunky start to this show. Where do you want to get started?
I like it. No, you threw me off a little bit with G-Koi, but I love it. That's great. That sounds awesome. Because obviously D-Poi, we know what time it is. That's a great acronym. G-Koi, love it. Add it to the lexicon. It's in the pantheon now. I don't know, man. I guess, if there's one place to get started, we might as well start with the most valuable player. Feels like an important award. Feels like an award people care about and they should care about. I'm very curious, Mr. Dino Decespedes, who is your 2025 NWSL MVP?
I mean, I'm glad you inserted the 2025 in there because I kind of not very famously, but in my mind, it was very famously selected Barbara Banda as my 2024 NWSL MVP. But being a little bit on an island, but this year, Temo Chawinga, I don't even really have to say too much more. I mean, KC was just that dominant. 15 goals, 3 assists, the golden boot. The one stat that blew me away. So KC on the season, goals for, goals against, they were 49 for, 13 against, plus 36 goal differential. Temo Chawinga, when she was on the pitch, 44 goals for, only 6 goals allowed. She was plus 38.
Okay.
So with Temo Chawinga off, KC is 5 goals for, 7 against. They're -2 without Temo Chawinga. With Temo Chawinga, they're plus 38.
That's awesome. That's a great stat.
Astronomical number. So I'm not sure we need to say a ton more. Temo Chawinga is our MVP, I think.
Yeah, I think that's totally fair. 33 shots on target, good for second in the league. She led the league in XG for people who care about that. 5th in the league for shots on target. 35 key passes, that's good for 9th in the league. 85 shot creating actions, that's 3rd.
Wow.
Top 10 in carries into the penalty and top 5 in progressive passes received. So, yeah, I mean, she's the MVP. She's the most valuable player. And you hope she's healthy when the playoffs roll around, or else it'll be some all-time bad luck for Kansas City Current.
No doubt. Yeah, I mean, she's such a force. Let's keep it moving, though. And congrats to Temo Chawinga I'm sure she's taking home the real MVP, which would make back-to-back a reality for her. But yeah, I think ultimately got to see Temo Chawinga back at full strength before these playoffs are over. Or I think, it'll just be a big disappointment, I think, for the footballing world as a whole.
Can we do like a couple honorable mentions?
Let's go.
Okay, Manaka Matsukubo, 11 goals, good for 3rd in the league, tied for 3rd in the league, I think. Or no, should have moved into sole 3rd place, I think. She scored today on decision day, as it were. 4 assists, that's top 10 in the league. She was 3rd in the league in through balls. She was top 5 in shot creating actions. She was best in the league, number 1 with 12 goal creating actions. Number 6 in progressive passes received. She was top 5 in shots and shots on target, and number 4 in fouls drawn. I mean, Matsukubo, just a force out there. Unfortunate for North Carolina Courage to not make the playoffs. I think there were a multitude of factors that led to that happening. But you got to think with Manaka kind of leading the charge next year, they'll be a challenger for that top 6 probably.
Yeah, got to imagine. So I think I pegged them 4th coming into the season. there was such a glob there in the middle, but that's a great shout from Manaka for sure. I have a couple players that made my MVP ballot, but I don't want to tip my hand because I'm going to mention them either when we get to the midfield section and definitely by the time we get to our best 11. So I'm going to keep those a little close to the vest. I want to switch gears to the deep boy because obviously defense wins championships. We already know that. In this spot, I had Kayla Sharples. So, last year, my defender of the year, and I think the broader defender of the year, Orlando Pride's Emily Sams, my case was best defender on the best defense. And I think Casey's defense even better this year than Orlando's was last year. Kayla Sharples was in the best 11 for the NWSL 3 times this season. There was only 6 of those awards given out. It's only 6 months of football being played. Second most in minutes for Casey behind Lorena. 1,997 minutes, just under 2,000, 11 goals allowed over that stretch. So per 90, while Sharples is on the pitch, Casey's only giving up less than half a goal. And she's kind of like commanding out there, calling shots, kind of like chasing, doing the physical work and not just kind of like directing traffic out there. So I don't know. Every time I watch, I'm no defensive expert, but when I watch these matches and I'm like, okay, who's standing out? Who's kind of like dictating the terms? I think Sharples, it kind of fits that bill in a big way. So that's my deep way for this year.
I like it. I mean, I like the idea of, looking at the best defenses in the league and saying like who is kind of making that defense work. I realized that Izzy Rodriguez had an attacking impact on Kansas City Current, but she led the league with 6 assists. She was number 5 in the league in key passes, second in the league in passes into the penalty, top of the league, number 1 in the league in passes in crosses into the penalty, pardon me. And so I think, how do you end up with the best defense in the league? You have players like Kayla Sharples, Izzy Rodriguez, Claire Hutton, obviously contributing there as a defensive midfielder, Lorena in goal, stopping shots. But for anybody who's doing this, I don't know if we said it clearly at the top, we are basically naming the Into the Channel winners of these awards. And I'm with you, Dino. Let's make Kayla Sharples the winner. I do have one more honorable mention, if you don't mind. How about Lily Reel? For the Bats in Gotham FC, she's top 10 in passes and crosses into the penalty area. She's top 10 in dribblers tackled and successful take-ons. She's a mainstay in the squad. She appeared in all 26 matches, started 21 of them, and the Bats allowed the second fewest goals this season. So I thought Reel was probably deserving of a shout there. Yeah,
no doubt. And I'll follow up your shout with our Rookie of the Year, Lily Reel. I think
look at that.
A little bit of an upset. I think it kind of came down to a few different players. Full disclosure, your boy forgot Lily Reel was a rookie. She don't play like a rookie, and wasn't on my initial rookie list that I jotted down. And then through further research, I'm like, oh my god, yeah, I forgot this is her rookie season. Shout out to UCLA. So yeah, Rookie of the Year. Any pushback on Lily Reel, or we like that pick?
No, I should have saved all the stats for that. My apologies for that. Yeah, let's give the Into the Channel Rookie of the Year to Lily Reel. I think she absolutely deserves it. I mean, look though, Riley Tiernan, she scored 8 goals. She had 1 assist to boot, but didn't do a ton else in terms of counting stats. And I think sometimes her impact, sometimes she would kind of like fade into the background a little bit in some of those other matches. She was Rookie of the Month twice. Excellent year, not taking anything away from Riley Tiernan. But I think if you're talking about sheer impact on a squad, even with 8 goals, and I'm some idiot sitting in my office talking into a microphone. I am not diminishing 8 goals and 1 assist. I still don't think she had the impact that Lily Reel did on the Bats.
Totally agree with you. It's a young player, so it's like those parts of her game will get rounded out. But Tiernan made my super duper long list of U.S. Women's National Team players that couldn't show up in 27. So
sure,
I think her future is there for sure. All right, so Lily Reel, our Roy. Let's shift gears to our G-Coy, goalkeeper of the year. I think we had a couple clear names at the top of this list. I've got somebody in mind. I want to hear. How did you approach the Feel so dumb saying it. How did you approach the G Koi discussion?
No, G Koi lives forever now. That's great. I love it. Look, Lorena had 14 clean sheets. That's pretty good. In 26 matches. She didn't play all 26
that
matches.
That might be a record. I think that's a record.
Yeah, I believe it is. And she didn't even play all 26, and she had 14 clean sheets. And that's absolutely incredible. I think, accuse me of being a homer here if you like, but I'm just going to have to throw this out here. I realize Claudia Dickey only had half the clean sheets. She only had 7, but she led the league in saves with 86. There were a lot of moments that she had to save figuratively and literally matches for Seattle Reign Football Club. Dickey has the best post-shot XG minus goals allowed in the league, and it was nearly double Lorena's post-shot XG minus goals allowed. Claudia Dickey, at the time of this publication, which I don't think it was taking into account the last match of the season, so apologies that we're doing this the decision night, if you will. But Dickey was plus 12, and Lorena was plus 6.6. And so there's just a massive gulf between them. And I just think, Dickey's ability to make diving stops, play with the ball at her feet, it felt like she had a superlative season. And it also, I know this doesn't necessarily count for these NWSL awards, but she played her way into contention to be the number 1 goalkeeper for the U.S. women's national team. I think that says a lot.
Yeah, that's a great point. And it was clearly on the heels of what she was doing in the league, right? Because
for sure,
not a whole lot was going on, around her. I think when you think about, I had to give, you bring up some great points. Obviously, Claudia Dickey impacting results, right, through her play is what you look for. Now, in my mind, Lorena did the same thing, just under some different circumstances, because so often, you get these teams throwing everything at KC, like everything, and like it might be 20 minutes in or 30 minutes in or 40 minutes in, and they break through. You break past, Izzy Rod and Wheeler and, like Kayla Sharples and Hutton and you kind of like, you did it. You're in with the keeper, and then it's Lorena there, and like too many times I just saw her be like the last line of defense and, just steal a goal that should have gone to the other team effectively. Sure. And I think like the impact of those moments, those game flippy type moments, and then also considering what Casey was able to do, once they, pull some momentum away from, an attacking opponent, it just was so demoralizing every time Lorena did that to me, it had the same impact as what Claudia Dickey was able to do, to kind of like keep points or keep Seattle in matches or kind of like keep them ahead. Obviously both, we're probably talking, you could throw Katzenberger in there as probably like the top 3, for this season, I think I would consider. But I got to give Lorena, 83.1% save percentage. She didn't face a ton, but you only allow 12 goals, 59 saves. That's a nasty percentage. I think she was 6 points clear on that front. I think ahead of Dickey in second. So I don't know. Right. It's close, but I got to give the nod to Lorena.
Okay. You are the awards guy on the show, so I will cede to your expertise here. I've made my case for Claudia Dickey, but look, you're the leader of the show. I'll follow your lead on this. Lorena is a worthy recipient.
All right. We got 2 more awards that we need to hand out here and kind of get to the bottom of. We've got our MFOY and our MOY. I'm curious to hear from a midfield standpoint who stuck out to you. If maybe there's somebody in Seattle, that you found interesting. But from my perspective, the name that I kind of kept, and it was weird because I kept not wanting to write down this name, but I kept just being like, I have to write down this name. Taylor Flint for me. I think like you think about what Louisville was able to do and like just how close they came to falling out of the mix, and like a player that was caused so much trouble in the midfield. I think like it just seemed she was always getting to balls that you didn't think she was going to reach. She kind of, it's almost like I went through the thought exercise of like, what if Victor Wembanyama was born to be a third baseman and then was as good a third baseman as he is an NBA basketball player? And it's like, that's kind of what Taylor Flint looks like sometimes, like Victor Wembanyama playing third base, just where nothing gets past. Like it's just a total dead zone. And I thought that impact was so effective for Racing Louisville in terms of like turning them around. You look at, I went to FB Ref to check out some of Flint's numbers. She's in the 99th percentile, just like some Madden shit. 99 for interceptions, blocks, clearances, and aerials won. She also adds 4 goals and an assist. Obviously, Racing Louisville finishes with a winning record this year. They make the playoffs. I just think that, like, if I wanted to have a midfielder season this year, I mean, there's a few on the short list, but Taylor, I'd want to have, Taylor Flint season. I think what she was able to do wrecking games was the most impressive thing for me.
I think that's totally fair. I realize we're 17 minutes. We're in the 18th minute of this podcast here. I'm going to crack another beverage because I'm thirsty, if you don't mind. And I want to cheers to the midfielders because that's a hard job. And Taylor Flint did it exceptionally well. You're totally right. She's absolutely dominant in the air, as you would expect a player of her size to be. She was largely, her, Janine Sonis, Emma Sears were like kind of the main factors in why Racing Louisville is a playoff team for the first time in their franchise history. I think she's a worthy recipient of this award. I do want to shout out, though, show favorite and a player we've talked a lot about through the context of the U.S. women's national team, Olivia Moultrie. She had a pretty great midfielder season as well. 8 goals, that's good for 6th in the league. 53 key passes, that's the best in the league. 37 passes into the penalty area, that's 3rd in the league. 125 shot creating actions, number 1 in the league by like a dozen or so. She was 7th in the league in progressive passes, tied for 6th for goal creating actions. She had 66 progressive carries, that's 7th in the league, and 49 fouls drawn, 2nd in the league. Just a monster season for Moultrie.
We talked about MVP ballot, and I think Moultrie, I didn't fill out an official ballot, but she was either 2 or 3 on my MVP ballot, because for all those numbers that you rattled off, I mean, you take all of those numbers away and there just is no other player that could replace the grand majority of those. So I think Moultrie, I mentioned it on our U.S. Women's National Team shows. I think the MVP of the league is her ceiling. I think she can get there. So I think so. I mean, she's a fantastic player and had a fantastic season. Top 3 MVP for me. A little spoiler alert: she will be in my best 11 when we get there. No way around that. But nothing more you can say. Just a magical player had a magical season.
Yeah, she would be the other player that I would give that award to in the midfield. And yeah, she was number 3 on my MVP ballot. I think I would be remiss if I didn't mention Kenza Dali. She led the league in passes into the penalty area with 58. She had 20 more of those than Izzy Rodriguez, who was 2nd in the league.
Wow.
Dali, yeah, she kind of tapered off as the season ended, as San Diego Wave kind of tapered off. But I just wanted to mention show favorite Kenza Dali, of course. And she wasn't going to win the award, but I do think it's worth mentioning. Again, watch out for the homer over here. Sam Meza, she led the league in tackles with 102. She was number 2 in tackles won and dribblers tackled. She was number 2 in blocks and was often the best player on probably one of the most surprising teams in the league. I don't think probably, on definitely one of the most surprising teams in the league. So Laura Harvey told me several times Meza's their best player. And so for her to kind of achieve that and for them to finish 5th in the table when they finished 13th in the table last year, I just want to make sure I gave the young players some props there.
Yeah, no doubt. Meza made my short list for sure. It definitely made my all 11 short list. All right, so it sounds like we're kind of like 50-50 on this one. I think you might have swung me into the Moultrie camp in terms of our MFOI. I think we got to go Moultrie.
I think it's Is it the? It's the
If we think about
array of
team
stats. Yeah, I think it's both of those. It's lifting Portland. Like we're talking about surprising teams here. It's helping lift Portland to a level that we didn't necessarily think they were going to get to, and the fact that it's such a diverse set of statistics that Moultrie really has an impact in.
Absolutely fantastic. Yeah. So Moultrie, congratulations, our midfielder of the year. Now on to the coach of the year, manager of the year. Moy? We'll sort it out. Who do you have in terms of coach, manager of the year?
We're talking about surprising teams. Before I say who it is, let's look at three possibles here.
Mm-hmm.
I talked about Seattle Reign Football Club. Laura Harvey.
Let's go.
Seattle Reign had 23 points last year. They finished 13th on the table. They were awful to watch. And no offense to anybody over there, they were not particularly enjoyable to talk to after those terrible matches, and I don't blame them.
Mm-hmm.
It's just the vibes were bad, man. Like nothing was working, nothing was going well. They have 39 points this season, and they finished fifth. And they added their big offseason acquisition was Lynn Biondolo, the all-time leading scorer in the history of the league. I think now she's number 2 in the history of the league in assists. And she played like 800 minutes. And I think at most gave them 3 goals, I think. It was either 2 or 3 goals. Gave them very little in terms of on-field production. And they still found a way to scratch and claw their way to a 5th place finish. I think Harvey at least deserves some consideration.
I would definitely agree with that. I mean, a super turnaround, and to your point, not one in which it made total sense, how we got here, to get from where they were last year to this year, because it wasn't like, oh yeah, these two, three players like really solved it, turned it around. It just seemed like everybody got a good chunk better.
Yeah.
The game plan, the preparation, the execution, like, the connectivity, all of it got elevated. And it's hard not to kind of credit that, to the coach. So I fully agree with that. I had 2 other names, that I was kicking around. Laura Harvey, absolutely deserving, but these 2 coaches, I mean, Vlatko, for one, talk about somebody that obviously we saw what they went through last season, getting so close, but an absolute historic season and a little bit of change of DNA. Like now this is a new approach to this current side. I don't know, this current side, if Chewinga was banged up going into the playoffs last year, it would have been like, they seem like we already saw the holes with what they have. This time, I'm not saying that they can still, they can obviously still win without Chewinga. It'd be really tricky, but it just feels like they're so much more well-rounded as a club. So I thought Vlatko was one of my 2 finalists. Very curious to hear how you experienced this Vlatko season.
They were on 55 points last year. They got to 65 points this year. And I understand, like I talked about the jump, the 16-point jump the Reign had under Laura Harvey, 23 to 39. Is this one of those things? Am I doing like the hacky sports radio thing? And maybe I am, and maybe I enjoy it. It feels more difficult to go from 55 points to 65 points, that 10-point swing, than it even is a 16-point swing when you were way lower in the standings the year before.
Yeah, I mean, I know there's never been this many teams in the league, but there's been teams that have made up 16 points. There's never been a team that's hung 65 on the league.
Unbelievable.
So it's like, I mean, it's hard to wrap your head around. And this was coming off of watching what Orlando did last year. Be like, oh my God, this team is a historic team, and KC kind of like outpaced them. So really, really incredible stuff. And I think the changing on the fly. Like I'm not sure if Vlatko was like working on post moves with Hakeem over the summer or what exactly was going on, but he came back with a different approach, and kind of has the league still trying to chase what they're doing. So again, like we got to give credit to Laura Harvey, we got to give credit to Vlatko as well. And this third coach that I think would be my pick has to be Rob Gale. We talked about Portland, the expectations coming into the year, he's got a kind of funny look to him. They looked a little funny at the beginning of the season. Like they didn't come out of the gates like like gangbusters. But how prepared he has that club, how locked in they are for pretty much every single match. There was only just one or two really no showish type performances this season. I think they were so rock solid, especially at home. And I think just what they did today, like the wherewithal to know, okay, not only do we need to win, but if Orlando and Seattle draw, we need to win by 2. And that's our recipe for leapfrogging them. And what do? They come out and they beat Houston 2-0 and they grab the 3rd seed. Like, at what point during the season were we like, oh, Portland, yeah, they'll probably finish in 3rd? like that never happened. Now, I'm still, it already happened. It's now happened. They have finished the season in 3rd, and I'm still having trouble processing it.
I think he has to be the winner, man. Like, I know we've talked about with Portland, we've mentioned it. You cannot overstate what it's like to lose a multiple-time MVP who plays number 9, who is your primary goal scorer, who is a Golden Boot winner, who is legitimately one of the 10 to 15 best players in the world and one of like the 5 to 6 best number 9s in the world. Just a devastating player like Sophie Wilson. You lose her to start the season. A player who, people revere in Christine Sinclair. You lose her, and then you just find a way to make it work. So I do think, I'll say this, when the NWSL hands out these awards, I think Vlatko Andonovski is going to be their Moy. I think he's going to win. Well, I think they call it Koi, Coach of the Year in the NWSL. They're going to give, because you can't have 65 points and not get Coach of the Year. I think that's probably what's going to happen. But the Into the Channel Moy, Manager of the Year, I think it's got to be Rob Gale, man. They had 34 points last season with Sophie Wilson and Christine Sinclair. They have 40 points this year, and they finished 3rd. It's just like the dude, obviously he has good players. Portland Thorns, I think there's been some changes in ownership that people might be questioning how all-in ownership is, but he has support around him, but he had to figure out a lot of different stuff to get them to where they are. And, I know it's kind of maligned that sports media just says the Coach of the Year is the coach of the team that maybe we just underestimated to start the season. But we had every reason to underestimate them. They lost Sophie Wilson.
For them to have gotten better by 6 points is stupid.
It's wild.
That's just not something that's normal. Yeah, I kind of went into it, sort of feeling like this one was tricky. Now I feel much more entrenched in our Rob Gale pick. So congrats to Coach, our Koi, our Moy. I don't know what time it is. Well, I don't know. We got a year to sort out these acronyms. we'll get back to it. All right, man. Let's hit our best 11 real quick before we get out of here. I'm going to knock through mine because we've mentioned a few of these players. So I've got Lorena in goal. My back line, I'm coming out with a back 3. I know we're a 4-2-3-1 kind of outfit, but just the way that this shook out, I went with a 3-4-3. Hopefully that's not too disruptive.
Love it.
Defensively, give me Izzy Rodriguez, who you mentioned, Kayla Sharples, and Tara McKeown as my back line.
Okay.
Taylor Flint, Olivia Moultrie, Kenza Dali, and Claire Hutton as my 4 in the midfield.
Okay.
We could bruise you. We can win the ball back. We're creative. We can score. I like this setup so far. And then up top, Temwa Chewinga, Esther Gonzalez, Luzmila. That's my 3-4-3 setup. Those are my 11. Obviously, a long list of honorable mentions and close ones. But how should we tackle this? Where are the weak points? So, who did you have that you feel like's got to be in there? Or maybe we're in lockstep. I'm really curious to hear where you stand on this.
I think it's a coin flip between Luzmila and Manaka. I've already given my Manaka pitch here. I think I would probably give the nod to her over Luzmila. I like your other picks. I think when I was looking at mine, I was like, okay, am I going to go like late 90s era football and just play a 4-4-2? Because I think I would have had Patterson, Sharples, Mickey-Own, Izzy Rodriguez as my four there. I think I'm largely with you on Flint, Hutton, Moultrie, Dali. I thought about like, could you put Sam Meza in there instead of Kenza Dali? I know Dali was probably like had more highlight plays, but Meza was just like such a stalwart on like a surprisingly good team. But
Kenza
we can
Dali
absolutely
four best 11s, April, June, August, September. So she was pretty consistent
she was real
all the way
strong
through, even as the
Dali,
team kind of backslid.
No, that's totally fair. I think Dali should be there. So yeah, I think I'm with you there. I think I'm happy to rock with that. And I had Dickey obviously in my 11, but that's our divergence on the goalkeepers. But yeah, I like that 11. That sounds like a great into the channel 11. I'm a little cautious on Manaka over or Luzmila over Manaka, but whatever. It's like we're two dudes talking into microphones naming a best 11. Like it's fine.
Yeah, it was tough. I had Patterson in a previous iteration, and I was just like, if that would have put me in a 4-4-2, and I'm like, Luzmila, I think just had a more impactful season than Avery Patterson. I think Avery Patterson's going to get there, but Luzmila, when she was on that tear, bro, it was like, I mean,
she was killing
it. It was insanity levels of like, I got to stop what I'm doing and make sure I can like flip over to see if she's going to get 4, 5, 6 goals. What exactly is going to happen in this one? And it always seemed to be on ESPN with Jen Hildreth and daytime and that weird camera view where it's like it's hard to read the numbers on the back of the jerseys, but you watch anyway. But yeah, shout out to Luzmila. I think just a fantastic stretch, good enough I think to make the 11. I think we covered a lot of ground. Is there anybody that we didn't hit this episode? Sam Coffey, another player that 2 best 11s, May, June, and obviously rock solid. One of the staples of that Portland squad. We must be missing a bunch of players. Is there anybody that we'd be kicking ourselves if we didn't at least give them a mention here?
I think it's my ministry to bring this up. I mean, you talked about Maddie Darlene as an alternate for the U.S. Women's National Team, a potential alternate in the 2027 World Cup. She had 4 goals, 4 assists. The 4 assists were tied for 9th in the league. She was 5th in the league in progressive passes received, tied for 7th for shots on target, 6th in shots on target percentage, and 2nd in the league with 49 carries into the penalty area. A dynamite rookie campaign from Darlene. So I was kind of looking at her as a potential Roy nominee, or depending on where you are in the world, a WA nominee.
Oh, very global of you. I like that.
That's what we're doing.
Let me see. Is there anybody that got close for me? I guess Lily Real was interesting in the back that I thought we could think about. Alyssa Thompson, I think in attack, had she played the full season and had Angel City been closer, I think was having that kind of year potentially. But yeah, I think we pretty much covered a lot. We covered our best 11s. We gave out some awards. In our last episode, we talked about everything that went down decision day, the little quarterfinals preview. So, I mean, we're pretty NWSL heavy this week. Definitely make sure you keep it locked. I think we covered a ton of ground, man, and 26 weeks in the books. So shout out to all the players, all the coaches that got it done this season. And shout out to us for, talking about it, all the players and coaches getting it done this season.
Mm-hmm. Exhausting. It was heavy lifting from us sitting behind these microphones, second guessing managers who have forgotten more about football than we'll ever know. But you know what? We did it, man. That's why we put in the 10,000 hours of sports radio and just sports watching.
I mean, we're not here to pat ourselves on the back necessarily, pat each other on the back, but we'll talk about that one later. All right.
Sure.
It's been another episode of Into the Channel. Thank you for watching, listening, hanging out. If you enjoyed the show or love women's football as much as your boys do, make sure you're kicking with us each and every single week. Like, subscribe, follow, or leave us a review, YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you like to watch or listen. Want to support the show? Patreon.com/Into the Channel. Great way to do that. Into the Channel merch. Even better way to do that. Links to all of the above and much, much more in the description of this episode. And a big thank you to my co-host as well, Mr. Grant Engle, for being the co-host of the year.
There we go.
All I know is that the biggest trophy that it's possible in this podcasting world goes to my guy. I appreciate you, bro. Nobody else I'd rather knock through 26 weeks of NWSL with.
Likewise, buddy. 26 weeks up, 26 weeks down. It was a pleasure talking about this great league with you, as well as all of you. Thank you for watching and supporting the show. We have appreciated all the knowledge that you've dropped thus far. We look forward to more of it as the playoffs continue. So please let us know, who is your, let me see if I can do this, MVP, Roy, M-Foy, D-Poy, Moy, G-Coy. Tell us, who did we forget? Who should have at least got an honorable mention that maybe we didn't talk about? And who were your award winners? Put us on game, like always. And thank you for checking out the show, and we will see you all next time.